Okay. Raymond.
Lorna.
New chair of the General Trustees.
Indeed.
Well, I did a wee experiment the other week. I had a group of my colleagues and I said, I'm going to just say the word General Trustees and you tell me what comes to mind. I don't think you're going to like it. They said stuffy, remote, inflexible, who, male, old senior grey, and lack of transparency about the process. Now, these were the words that came to, there was nothing actually positive that came to mind when they said trustees. Would you accept that?
Yes and no. You've spoken to the wrong people, of course. Because if you've spoken to some of the people that I've worked with over the last few years, they might have told you differently. But I think, on the whole, that's the perception. The perception of the General Trustees is we're a stuffy, old, male-dominated group of people whose first word is no.
Yet the shirt belies all that, does it not?
Well, this is the image of the new General Trustees. We are changing, and there is no doubt about that. The trustees are changing. We've engaged with communities and with congregations in a way I suspect we haven't been in the past. We're beginning to move from being simply an organisation that reacts when people come to saying, no, we need to be much more proactive. We need to have some kind of strategic approach to how we deal with the buildings that the church owns. And that has to tie up with the work that both the Council of Assembly and the Ministries' Council in particular have been doing to say, well, what is the purpose of the church? And our question is, well, you sort out what the purpose is, and we will provide, and we will help you provide the resources in terms of buildings to deliver that purpose. Because
so it's not just a change of image. I mean, I have to say, I'm also a General Trustee.
I know you are.
So I hope not old, grey and senior comes into that.
No,
but it's not just
nice blonde hair.
It's not just a change of image. It has to be a change of the whole meaning of the
Absolutely.
General Trustees and what
it's a change of attitude. Predominantly, it's a bit change of attitude, a cultural change.
So can you give us some examples of what we might see in the future?
Well, I think we're going to see in the future a closer relationship with presbyteries. That's the first thing, because presbyteries are our principal partner in ensuring that our buildings are suitable for the future. Mm-hmm. The second thing with that is then we will have better communication with congregations. And congregations will feel that they're being supported by the General Trustees. And we've had, let's take a couple of examples. A number of priority area congregations have had some really close work with the trustees over the last few years. We've had a programme jointly with the Ministries' Council called Chance to Thrive. And most of the congregations that ended up in that, came into that programme, will tell you that they've had really good relations with the trustees. And somebody in the trustees has travelled with them through their building process.
But that's not known generally throughout the church.
No, it's not.
And that's been one of the problems with
Absolutely.
the trustees.
Trustees doesn't, we hide our light under the bushel, as the saying goes. And I think this is, what we're doing today is part of communicating that the trustees are not all of those things that you've got down there. Yes, trustees are entrusted, which is why we've got the word trustee, with building resources. But we are entrusted with building resources on behalf of congregations. And it's to enable, at the end of the day, we are about enabling congregations to have the facilities to enable them to go out and do mission.
What's the biggest challenge that's facing not just the trustees, but really the church?
Well, the biggest challenge is change. And the change involving a reduction in membership, a change therefore, like any other institution, that will, from the trustees' perspective, involve a reduction in number of buildings. We cannot get away with this. We can't keep talking about change without reflecting. If you look at the health service, the health service is not running around with Victorian hospitals any longer. They're running around with modern hospitals. The whole thing has changed. The relationship of doctors to patients is different. We're no longer in the Dr. Finlay mode when it comes to the health service.
Well, there's a nostalgia for that.
Of course there's a nostalgia
Not
for
in the health service.
And there's a nostalgia for it in the church as well. A lot of people, I sometimes wonder whether there are congregations who are more interested in worshipping their church building than their God.
The bricks and mortar.
The bricks and mortar. And I know that Granny sat in that pew and you were married in that congregate church and your wains were christened there and all the rest of it. But I'm sorry, we're going to have to move on.
So you're saying that the General Trustees are about managing decline?
No, we're managing change.
Okay.
Because there are new buildings as well. Go to Castlemilk. Go to Doonby in Orkney, where 3 congregations decided amongst themselves to close this building and build a new community facility, which is absolutely wonderful. Castlemilk is a fabulous new building. There are new buildings being built all over Scotland at the present moment, new church buildings. And so it's not about decline, managing decline. It's about managing change and seeing that new things need to be done as well as old things. And a lot of our old buildings can be transformed. St Matthew's in Perth has just recently been utterly transformed through a very good programme. Okay, £1 million had to be spent on it. It's a fabulous building now.
A big job in front of you, huge job in front of you.
A good-
Lots of challenges, opportunities. What do you hope to achieve in your time?
I think by the end, I would like to think...
Apart from exhaustion.
Apart from exhaustion. Perhaps I'm looking forward to retirement. No, I think in the end, it would be good to know that in planning the future, because there is a future, let's not talk about this as if it's a past. Yeah. We're not decline in that kind of change. We're in the process of change, of rebirth. And rebirth can be painful. But I suppose in the end of the day, what I'm hoping is that the church will have a strategy for buildings which people, on the whole, because I always know there are always going to be people who don't agree with it, that there are new ways of dealing with buildings, that there are ways in which the buildings are seen as a resource for mission. And that means sometimes you wonder in the church just what we actually do believe in. Because for a church which believes in resurrection, it's not sometimes very good at dealing with death. Yeah. Because you can't have resurrection without death. And we know that. And so we may have to go through some more deaths to get the resurrection. But I'm sure that in the next 10 years or so, the Church of Scotland will have facilities which are used not just by congregations, but used by the community. It's seen as an important part of the community life, just as the buildings in many cases are seen as an important part of the physical surroundings of our communities.
So, in many ways, an exciting time ahead.
Oh, very exciting.
Very exciting time ahead.
Yeah, and there's a good team like you. People like you and a whole group of trustees. There's a whole group of trustees. We could do with some more. We could particularly do with more women.
We could.
And if anybody's interested, then
I'd be delighted to have them along.
I'd be delighted to hear from them, because that's what we need. We need more people to help and drive this one forward.
Raymond, every blessing in the job that's in front of you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Lorna.